Mornings in the quiet neighborhood of Maple Grove always began the same way for Sarah Jensen. She'd wake to the soft, eager tapping of Max's paws on her bedroom door. Max was her loyal golden retriever, 6 years old, with a coat like honey and eyes that shone with a wisdom that often startled her. But lately, Max's morning routine had grown strange. At first, Sarah thought nothing of it. A week ago, she noticed Max standing completely still in the hallway, his gaze fixed on the faded floral wallpaper that covered the far end of the corridor. She'd call him, Max. Come on, boy, but he wouldn't budge. His eyes stayed locked on that same patch of wall, as if he could see through it. She chalked it up to a mouse, maybe a smell. But when days turned into a week, Sarah's unease grew into a gnawing dread. Every morning, without fail, Max would stand there, tail still, ears perked, body tense, just staring. One cold Tuesday, after watching Max stare for what felt like an eternity, Sarah knelt beside him, pressing her palm to the wall. It felt like any other wall, solid, cold, silent. She tapped it. Nothing. She even brought out a stud finder she'd borrowed from her brother once. Nothing unusual. That night, she barely slept. When she did, her dreams were full of muffled voices behind the walls, scratching sounds, the soft whimper of a child. Sarah lived alone. Her husband, Dan, had died in a car accident 3 years ago. Max had been her salvation in that lonely aftermath. She'd rescued him from a shelter the day after Dan's funeral. In a way, they'd saved each other. The next morning, Max was at it again, and something inside Sarah broke. She called her brother, Jake, who showed up an hour later with a sledgehammer and a concerned look on his face. "Sarah, you sure about this?" he asked, glancing at Max, who was sitting obediently by the wall, tail wagging slowly. Sarah nodded. "There's something in there, Jake. He knows." Jake let out a low whistle and swung the sledgehammer back. The first hit cracked the plaster. The second sent a small puff of dust into the air. By the fourth, they could see old bricks behind the drywall, odd, considering this was an interior wall. Jake pried at the bricks with a crowbar, and soon, a section gave way. What they saw made them both recoil. Behind the bricks was a narrow crawl space, pitch black. The beam of Jake's flashlight caught a glint of metal, something dusty and old. He reached in, pulling out a small, rusted tin box. Sarah's hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was a stack of yellowed papers, letters. Dozens of them. She read the first one aloud, voice cracking as she stumbled over the faded ink. "My dearest Anna. I'm sorry for what I've done. They'll never find me here, but if they do, know that I loved you." It was signed Thomas Whitaker, 1942. They spent hours pulling more bricks loose, piece by piece, until Jake's crowbar struck something hard and hollow. With one last shove, part of the wall crumbled inward, revealing a tiny hidden room. Inside, they found a small wooden desk, a chair, and a blanket. On the floor lay a battered suitcase. Its contents, a faded photograph of a young woman and a little girl, and an old revolver. Sarah knelt beside Max, burying her face in his fur. He pressed close to her, as if to say, "You did the right thing." News of the hidden room spread fast. Local historians pieced together the story of Thomas Whitaker, a man who'd gone missing during World War II. Records showed he'd been accused of desertion and theft, but he'd vanished without a trace. It seemed he'd hidden in what was once the attic crawlspace of Sarah's house, a house that had since been renovated and modernized, burying his secret behind drywall and floral wallpaper. But there was more. Among the letters was a confession: Thomas hadn't deserted. He'd stolen Nazi documents meant to expose atrocities that the government had tried to bury. Afraid for his family's safety, he hid in the only place he thought he'd never be found. Sarah wept when she read Thomas's final letter, a plea for forgiveness, a promise that he'd done it for love, for his country, for a daughter he'd never see again. After historians confirmed the letter's authenticity, Sarah felt a sense of peace she hadn't known in years. The wall, once just part of her house, had become a testament to hidden truths and unfinished stories. And through it all, Max had known. She wondered, how? Some instinct. Some lingering scent. Or maybe dogs just see what humans can't bear to face. In the months that followed, Sarah turned the tiny hidden room into a memorial. A small glass case held Thomas's letters and the photograph of his wife and daughter. Neighbors came by to pay their respects. Local schools brought students to learn about a part of history that would have stayed buried if not for a dog who stared at a wall every morning. Sarah often sat there with Max, the sunlight streaming through the old bricks now left exposed. She'd scratch behind his ears and whisper, "Good boy. Thank you for showing me." Max would close his eyes, tail thumping gently, as if to say, "I'll always watch over you." They faced many challenges. Sarah had to battle city officials who wanted to tear the wall down for structural safety. She fought to keep it intact as a local landmark, gathering signatures, appearing on local news, even writing to Congress. She faced skeptics who said the story was a hoax, endured sleepless nights worrying about her safety when conspiracy theorists showed up outside her home. But through every obstacle, she stood firm. She believed that hidden truths deserve to be seen, no matter how long they've been buried. Today, people from all over visit Sarah's house in Maple Grove, now known as the Hidden Room of Whitaker House. And every morning, Max still sits by that wall, not out of worry, but out of quiet pride, as if guarding a secret that's finally free. If this story touched your heart, I invite you to leave a comment below. Tell us what you think Thomas's story teaches us about loyalty, sacrifice, and truth. And if you love stories where animals uncover hidden truths and protect what matters most, don't forget to subscribe to my channel Justice on Paws. Together, we'll keep telling stories that remind us how powerful our four-legged heroes truly are. Stay kind. Stay curious. And hug your dog a little tighter tonight.